Hi everybody and welcome. This is the Apostate Prophet. This is a quick message to Yasir Qadhi from an ex-Muslim, or as Yasir Qadhi calls it, a murtad, which is an apostate, somebody who is to be executed under Islam simply because he left Islam and because he made that public. According to Yasir Qadhi's belief and worldview, I am to be executed. Dear Yasir Qadhi, I know you will see this video because you are constantly looking for videos that mention your name. You're constantly looking for posts, even tweets that mention your name, and respond to them, or try to not respond to them, and sometimes you fail. In a recent video in which you responded to Jay Smith and David Wood, you also mentioned me and other ex-Muslims, but you didn't mention our names. You simply talked about us as apostates, as murtads, people who have left Islam and whose names you will not mention because they are cringeworthy and they now have to show how miserable their life is after they left Islam. It is a bit disturbing, dear Yasir Qadhi, that you talk about how miserable my life is and how miserable the lives of ex-Muslims are, while you do not even want to mention our names, while you directly want to dehumanize us, because to you, we are simply apostates, people who have left Islam, who have become worthless, and who, under an ideal system, in your system, should just be exterminated. You believe in that system, in that Islam, and then you accuse us of having miserable lives because we fight that system which wants to kill us. Dear Yasir Qadhi, why don't you respond to this publicly? Why don't you make a statement about this publicly? Can you please answer the question? What do you believe about ex-Muslims like me, for example? What do you believe about people who have left Islam and who have publicly said that they have left Islam? What do you think about people who have publicly criticized Islam? Do you believe those people should be executed? Can you please say that in public and stand behind that? And then again talk about Islamophobes and critics of Islam and whatever it is. Dear Yasir Qadhi, when you go on record claiming that you will now destroy other people, your critics, and then you go on and only insult these people and try to belittle them and slander them, do you really think that gives you and your religion, which you try to defend, a good image? You haven't done a very good job with that so far this year. We all know that.
Standard narrative has holes.
And we're proud of that.
Standard narrative has holes.
And we're proud of that.
I'm sorry, in your culture, I am a younger person, which is why I am supposed to look up to you and to respect you and all that, but sorry, I don't really care. I'm not part of that culture. In my culture, it doesn't really work that way. But speaking of status and speaking of respect, I am no one to give you advice according to you, because I'm not an Islamic scholar, not an academic, not even a student of Islamic studies. I am an undergraduate student in a completely unrelated field, but what does it matter? Why do you constantly have to talk about people's education, people's degrees, people's qualifications, certifications, and whatever it is, when people criticize your belief and you? Why do you think you can simply dismiss people by pointing out that they are not proficient in a certain field, which is why all of their opinions and all of their criticism can simply be dismissed? Why do you call people ignorant because they don't have an education in a certain field, or because they do not meet your requirements of a proper scholar in Islamic studies? Why do you insult people based on these things? Why do you dismiss people's criticism of Islam simply because they do not speak Arabic? When you do all these things, you are basically insulting, belittling, dismissing many of your own followers, and the vast majority of Muslims, and the vast majority of Muslim commentators. We know very well that most Muslim commentators, most people who are within the folds of Islam and who talk about Islam, who want to teach about Islam, are not people who have formally gone through an Islamic education. So when you talk about how people who don't have a certain education, who are not scholars and who don't speak Arabic are little tiny losers, then you are insulting your own people. You are also insulting all those people who convert to Islam and who talk about why they have converted to Islam. Because none of them, or at least the vast majority of them, don't have degrees in an Islamic study field and also don't speak Arabic, by the way. In fact, when you go after people's education, then you are insulting the vast majority of your own audience by default, because your audience consists mostly of people that are not very well educated. Do we really have to pick out the demographics for that? As an Islamic scholar, as somebody who wants to present a good image of Islam and who wants to defend Islam and clarify Islam and wants to give young Muslims or questioning Muslims or the general public among Muslims a good understanding of Islam, you should probably not keep insulting people. You should not make blunders and try to correct them by attacking people. You should not dehumanize people like me and others. I think it would be very wise on your part to simply sit there and clarify things in an appropriate way, to explain your position, explain your religion, respond to allegations, respond to this whole holes in the narrative scandal without trying to deflect from that by attacking others and insulting them. It is funny that in your speech you called David Wood vulgar and foul-mouthed and whatever it is, but I have heard more insults in your 1-hour stream than I have ever heard from David Wood or Jay Smith or any of these people. So reflect a little bit, dear Yasir Qadhi. Please don't respond to this by doing another series of insults and dehumanizations. While calling people vulgar and foul-mouthed and all of that, you're associating with people like Mohammed Hijab, who talk about sexual assault, who threaten sexual assault, who sexually harass people online, who make weird, perverted sexual implications online, who insult people's families and make the excuse that they are allowed to do that because Muhammad's companions did that too. Just don't be a hypocrite. What am I even talking about? You will probably not get any of this. You will not respond to this in an appropriate way because you're aligning yourself with horrible people, thinking that you're doing a great, honorable job as a scholar of Islam while just spreading completely vile ideas to young people and to others and validating vile ideas which your fellow Muslim apologists spread. Why am I even trying to get through to you people? According to your worldview, I shouldn't even be alive. But hey, that's a good point to stop. Please do that. Dear Yasir Qadhi, dear Islamic scholar who is recognized as an authority on Islam, who is consulted when sources want to clarify things about Islam. Dear Mr. Yasir Qadhi, please come out and explain to the public what your stance on apostasy is, what your stance on people who have left Islam is within an Islamic state, within an Islamic system. And please don't dance around it. Just explain it. I will be waiting. And by the way, nobody has any idea what ultracrepidarian means. Using big words, as popular as it is among people who are defendants of Islam, doesn't really make you special in any way. It just makes you weird because the population doesn't understand what you're talking about. Anyway, thank you for listening. Have a great day, and please bring a glass of water to the garage. Stay away from Islam.
Can you bring a glass of water to the garage, right? They speak in a higher pitched voice, right? Glass of water into the garage. You know, there's differences, right?